I started talking about things. But I didn't know anything. But I was in that position where I thought, you know what, my character, my personality is going to bring me through this. And sometimes in business you have to have that. That thing of, you know what, I don't know everything I need to know, but I know my personality or my character is going to carry me through this. And I got to the end of this situation and he flew back home and I got a call from him. And he said, listen, when you finish in China, come and see the HR department with me because I don't want you to go through the graduate scheme back home. I want you to you can come and work under me. Right? So immediately my brain lights up again. I'm like, wow, I don't have to go through the normal channel. I can just go and work directly under this guy. So I'm thinking, this is incredible. This is like, I've fast-tracked everything. And the lessons I learned were, layer your skills, do one thing, then the next thing, then the next thing. And then I learned that you should take a risk. If you see someone you need to meet, go meet them and let your personality shine, let your personality do the talking, even if your knowledge can't. And that if you take those risks, you can fast-track the normal routes. And I got back home, and everyone was worried about jobs. The market was terrible. Everyone's worried about jobs. And I'm thinking, well, I got this all figured out. Mine's sorted. But I also had this inner conflict, because at the same time, I knew I wanted to be a coach. I knew I wanted to go and set up my own business, and I knew I wanted to do my own thing. And I got home, and I got a call from this guy, and he said, you know, you're pretty much there, right? You're going to come work with me. You're pretty much there. As a formality, I need you to go and just speak to the HR department. Now, I said to you that one of the most difficult things I found was when I started, I was in coach mode, but I needed to be in business mode as well, because I needed to understand how to actually grow this thing. And over time, I learned a few things about actually operating a business. And you know, I got a lot to learn yet. I'm still humbled by this whole thing. But what I'd like to share with you is some of the things that I've actually found over the past few years in doing this, and see if you might be able to benefit from that. I think even if you've been running a business for a while now, and you're experienced in business, understanding these things again and taking them on again won't do you any harm. Okay, so I'm going to get you to grab your pads right now. And I want you to write down my first point, which is, for God's sake, just start. Just start. If right now you are in a position where you have an idea, you have something you want to do, just start. Do something. There's this terrible perfectionist mindset that we have in our culture. That unless I'm ready, unless I'm completely ready, I'm not going to do it. Now, if I'd have waited in China to decide when I was completely ready to show a guy like that around, I never would have done it. And I never would have had that opportunity in the first place. We have to be in a position where we say, I'll never be completely ready. I have to find a way to start now. Even if I go back to that thin slicing concept, what's the first thing I can do? What's the first thing that I can do? And you know what's funny? There's this whole perfectionism is a joke. Because there are very few people in the world who are genuine perfectionists. Like people always, I'm a perfectionist, that's my problem, I'm a perfectionist. In my experience, there are a tiny, tiny percentage of people in the world who are actually perfectionists. The rest of them are disguising cowardice as perfectionism. It's really cowardice. It's like saying, there's someone I'm attracted to over here. I'll do it when I'm ready. And we can say that we're waiting to get ready, or we could be honest and say, I'm just being a complete coward right now. That's the choice we make. And so what happens is when people make it about, well, I'm not ready yet, I need to make sure it's perfect, they're making it about something else. They're making it about circumstances, when actually we have to make it about an identity issue. Who do I want to be in life? Well, I want to be someone who takes action. I want to be someone who takes charge. I want to be someone who pushes forward no matter what. Can I do that right now if I'm being a coward about not starting something? No. All right, so let's start. And there's a very good friend of mine who's a known writer in London, wrote some amazing plays for the West End, done some incredible things. He said that we were having this interesting conversation the other day, and he said, when as a writer you get writer's block, one of the things they teach you is to lower your standards. If you get writer's block, lower your standards for what you're expecting of yourself. Isn't that kind of cool? We have insanely high standards of ourselves. We have standards that say we can never get it wrong. We can never screw up. And you know you wouldn't expect those standards from anyone else, but on some level we expect it from ourselves. In order to get over our writer's block, or any block in life, we need to initially lower our standards a little bit. How can I lower my standards in order to get started? I'm going to grab this flip chart here. Am I hurting any camera angle with that, or is that cool? We good? Okay. So I need to lower my standards in order to break this ground and get in. That's the first thing. The second thing is, one of the things I've found in business is that most of what you will do will fall flat. Most of what you will do will fall flat. Not some, most. I can't begin to describe the amount of things over the last few years that I have done that have completely bombed, that have just gone nowhere. And they're all in my area, right? Because think of this. At this stage, I'm very proud of where I am. But in my area, not like failed business ventures that I then abandoned. No, in this area now that I'm talking about, there are many things that I have done that have completely fallen flat. Most of what we do falls flat. And we have to be prepared for that. What's the problem? Can somebody tell me, what's the problem if you're not prepared for that fact?
Giving up.
Okay, at what point do you give up? Okay.
After you fall flat.
Okay, so after you fall flat, you give up. Why do you give up at that point?
I don't know. You just... because you fell flat and you feel bad about it.
Okay, let's get this gentleman a mic at the back.
I'd say it's because you don't know like where to go next. You're not planned for it, so you don't know what happens next. You're not sure.
Maybe you don't know where to go next. We'll get this gentleman a mic here.
For a lot of people, it's the sense of failure.
It's the sense of failure.
Yeah.
It's the why me mentality. It's something specific to do with me. One of the most incredible gifts that you can give yourself in life is the realization that everyone is screwing up just as much as you are, if not more. In fact, some of the best people are screwing up 20 times more than you are. I was very fortunate in the sense that when I went into business, I had some partners and I had some people around me who were fantastic in business and were a little bit further than me too. So I got to watch them as they developed, and they were a bit further than me. And I got the privilege of seeing them screw up big before I did. So then when I would, like, they would be a little bit further than me. So when I would trail them, if you imagine, they would be like here, and I would still be back here. Now, when they were here, they would have this massive screw up, this massive thing go wrong. And I would see it. So then, as I grew and got to that level and faced a similar screw up, maybe it was the same one, maybe it was a different one, I went, oh, okay, but that happened to them as well. Like, this was supposed to happen. Most of what we do will fall flat. The problem is for the people in business who expect everything to go right. And when they expect everything to go right and it doesn't, they feel like it's some sort of personal failure, and they feel like it's something to become emotional about. Most of what we do will fall flat. Some of the biggest opportunities that I've ever had, or thought were the biggest opportunities that I've ever had, completely died and nothing happened with them. Have you ever had an opportunity you thought was going to be huge? You thought, oh wow, this is going to be a big deal. You got really excited about it. And then nothing came of it. That happened to me so many times. As soon as I got, one thing that helped me realize that most of what you do will fall flat is getting an agent. As soon as I got a TV agent, I got sent to meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And everyone in that world has this meeting where they go, oh, you're great. Yeah, this is great. This is going to be huge. Oh, I can't wait to, and they get you all pumped up about it, and then they leave, and you never hear again. Like, that's it. You never hear again. You do meeting, I would have 2 of those meetings a week. And they would never go anywhere. Never. And I got to a stage where, and my staff will tell you, I would get back to the office after another meeting where it didn't go anywhere, and I'd be like, I could have been working on the business for that hour. I've gone to another freaking meeting, hasn't gone anywhere, and this is just a waste of time. I'd go back to the office, and I'd be like, I've now got to catch up, and I would get a bit frustrated with it. And then the next time I'd get a call about a TV meeting, I'd go, what's it about? And they'd start telling me, I go, has it been commissioned yet? And they'd start talking about it, and I go, all right. And I'd go with a completely different energy because of what I'd already experienced. Now, the funny thing is, the more of those I did, the more attuned I got to what people were really looking for. And I got to a point where a couple of little things started to bite. I started getting invited to a couple of shows, getting invited to a couple of morning programs. And then last year, I had a really good break when I did This Morning, a big show in the UK. I did that for a period of about 6 weeks. And I was on there every week, and suddenly I was there. And then after that, I would start getting a few other calls. This year, or the end of last year, we just got called into a meeting for MTV, for a brand new show. Get called into a meeting, have the same meeting that I always have with people where I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and then suddenly they get a call back. They go, oh yeah, well, no, we want you. And then that's become like a big thing this year, is we're doing a full-on series with MTV. Comes out later in the year. It's been an incredible thing. But most of what you do will fall completely flat. And we have to be prepared for that. The way that we prepare for it is we have several plates spinning. Have several plates spinning at the same time. Don't just have one plate spinning, have several. How does this conflict, by the way? Can anyone tell me how this conflicts with traditional thinking on focus? Let's get a mic over here.
Like, if you have several plates spinning all at the same time and they all sort of fall flat, then when you go into a downward spiral feeling worse about what's going on.
What if you have only one plate spinning and it falls flat?
I guess you'd have more enthusiasm to try again, I guess.
Do you think? Or do you think you'd feel like you really had no options?
Yeah, you're right.
What if you had a few plates spinning? What does traditional focus thinking tell us? We can maybe over here? Yeah.
You'd spread yourself out too thin.
So if you have many plates spinning...
You'd spread yourself out too thin.
You'd spread yourself too thin. And there are tons of books written on focus that say you have to focus on one thing. In order to do that well, you have to focus on one thing. The problem I have with that is that very often you don't know what thing is actually going to produce for you. You don't know where the real opportunities are. When you're starting in business, you don't know where your biggest bait is. You'll see lots of different options, and you won't know which of them is actually going to produce right now. Does that make sense? What I see commonly in business is people take all of their resources and they put them into one thing. And they don't even know if that thing is going to produce yet. They have no idea. Have you ever had a friend who's had a business idea and they've gone, oh, yeah, no, I'm so excited about this. So they then go and spend like $2 grand on a website. They try and find premises. Oh, I'm going to locate here. And what staff do we need? And where do we need to be? And they start focusing on all these things. We need cards. We need business cards. So I don't want cheap ones. We need like expensive ones that are going to say the right thing. They're going to say we're serious. So they go and they get expensive